What's going on, everybody? It's Andrew here, and welcome to another video talking about FNaF AR special delivery. Yay! Honestly, this year has been a huge roller coaster for Five Nights at Freddy's, and not just by security breaches delayed back in April and released for December, but the FNaF movie losing its director and Scott's departure from the franchise, no thanks to Twitter, but for Illumix's ongoing questionable decisions for their game special delivery. That being no new characters released, a gameplay update which only ruins the game further, and the ongoing release of the skins, which is the topic of this video. The skins have gained a very mixed reception within the community. There are some who like them and think they're very creative, while others see them as dumb, half-baked add-ons in a way to make a quick buck. Personally, while I do think Illumix should tone them down and try to make a balance between the release of characters and skins, I think most of them are very creative and well designed. They also serve as an appetizer while we wait for more characters. That being said though, like with every collection, there's always going to be some duds, and the AR skins are no exception. While some skins can range from being really good, there are also some skins that can range from being lazy, ugly, out of place, or just really rushed overall. So today, I'm going to rank down the top 6 best and worst FNaF AR skins. Before I start counting down, I want to make a few things clear. 1. Freddy Fazbear and 8-Bit Baby will not be included on either list. Since they have their own CPUs, they do not count as skins. 2. These are all my personal choices and opinions. If you like a skin that I don't like, then that's okay. Opinions are opinions. And 3. Not all of the footage you see in this video is mine and belongs to their respective owners. So without further ado, let's start the countdown with the worst of the worst. Coming in at number 6 is Frostbite BB, released in the Winter Wonderland event. An event which started out great, but kind of got worse with each skin's release, which is kind of the case with Frostbite BB, but not exactly. The reason why I'm not too fond of Frostbite BB is because he doesn't feel like something you would see from this franchise. The design bears very little resemblance to Balloon Boy, even with the sign and balloon in his hands. He feels like a completely different character and not a skin from this game. The lack of joints also don't help either. With the previous skins, although most of them are heavily remodeled from their bases, they still stay true to their overall aesthetics. With Frostbite BB, it tries so hard to be unique that it just looks and feels out of place for this series. If I came across a render of this skin and knew nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's, I would easily mistake it for something like Skylanders or maybe even Fortnite. However, that being said, I don't think the skin is terrible. In fact, it's far from even bad. The design on its own is really good. The texture looks realistic, the blue shards of ice look good, and it overall does look really creepy. So in summary, it looks good, but it doesn't look like something from this game or this franchise, which is why it's so low on the list. Number 5, Frost Plush Trap. Once again released for the Winter Wonderland event, and the last skin for the event and 2020 as a whole, as well as a very disappointing send-off to the game. I've personally never cared much for this skin. Frostbite BB's design may have been very indifferent for a FNaF game, but at least it was unique and tried to bring something new to the table, neither of which Frost Plush Trap does. It's a skin with concepts we've already seen before, an animatronic turned blue with icicles sticking off. That was already done with Freddy Fazbear, and he was released before the trend of skins were released. And what's worse, he did it better. While the other winter skins had the concept similar to Fazbear, they at least tried to shake things up, like being mutated, having different color palettes, having snow around them, or just having different designs overall. Even the more basic skins like Flaming Springtrap, Magician Mangle, Broiler Baby, or even Shamrock Freddy had some form of gimmicks or something about them that made them stand out. The only saving grace of this skin is the environment itself. Illumix actually went out of their way to modify it to make it look more icy, and it's admittedly very pretty to look at with all the snow everywhere. I also like how the ambience is remixed to fit with these changes. However, everything else about this skin is just lazy and was a very generic conclusion to special delivery for 2020. Number 4, Firework Freddy, released for the summer 2020 event. Personally, I thought this was one of the worst events for FNaF AR because the skins were either weak or just not good, and Firework Freddy started the trend of bad skins. This skin is Freddy Fazbear with clothes and holding a giant firework replacing his microphone, and nothing else. Yes, Shamrock Freddy was just Freddy Green, but the thing is, he was the very first skin released in the game, so of course he's not going to be as creative as skins followed after him, and at least there was more to him than just being a green Freddy. Firework Freddy came after skins like Radioactive Foxy and Toxic Springtrap, two of which started the trend of skins having their own workshop animations, and being more than just a recolor with a few minor differences. His workshop animation is different than normal Freddy, but nothing else was done with the model. While I can't see some comical value in this skin, you know, the fact that, oh hey, it's Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's, and he's getting ready for some 4th of July fun! I still feel like more could have been done with it instead of just slapping clothes on him and calling it a day. Maybe they could have added some burns on his body to make it look like he forgot to put sunscreen on. Something to make this skin stand out more. There's really nothing else I can say on this skin. You know, as a matter of fact, I think that's the best way to describe this skin. It's nothing. Just nothing. Number 3. Liberty Chica, once again released for the summer 2020 event. I think most people were expecting this to be on the list. This has always been one of my least favorite skins. Firework Freddy was weak, but he was tolerable at least. This skin, on the other hand, is just stupid. I mean, an animatronic based on the Statue of Liberty? Come on, that's something a 5-year-old would create. It's not even a good concept in my eyes. Like Frostbite BB, Liberty Chica has this theme that doesn't fit with the tone of the series in my opinion. What kind of person who's part of the FNaF community, visits New York City, takes a glance at the Statue of Liberty and goes, hey, you know what? I can see this being related to FNaF. I can tolerate Easter-themed skins. I can tolerate circus-themed skins. I can even tolerate Firework Freddy, but this is where I draw the line. It's not that it's disrespectful to its origins, it's just that what does the Statue of Liberty have to do with FNaF? The pluses to this skin? Well, despite the ridiculous concept, the skin does do a good job on representing the real thing, and it didn't forget any of the basic features, like the crown, the dress, the book in its left hand, and I do think the cupcake replacing the torch in his right hand is a nice touch. But other than that, everything else about this skin is just dumb and feels so out of place for this franchise. I know this skin has its fans, and if you like it, that's fine, but personally, it's not my cup of tea. Number 2. Clown Springtrap, aka Illumix's official mascot, released for the Dark Circus event. This is certainly one heck of a skin, but not the good kind. Look, I know there are people out there who do like this skin, and while I respect people's opinions, I just don't see the appeal of Clown Springtrap. To start off, this skin looks freaking ugly, and not the good kind of ugly. His mushy permanent smile, his hair, and the overall design just doesn't appeal to me. His costume is okay, and his mallet is kind of cool, but everything else falls flat. Secondly, why? Why is he so dummy thick? Does he honestly think he can go up against Big Chungus? Sorry, Clown Springtrap, there can only be one chunky rabbit. Thirdly, did anyone ask for another Springtrap skin during this event? Because I certainly didn't. One of my biggest pet peeves with the skins is the fact that Illumix doesn't experiment with the roster of characters in which to make skins out of. The go-to is usually Bonnie, Foxy, Springtrap, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Plushtrap, clearly because of reasons to do with money. I think the skin's concept would have worked better for Balloon Boy. The design for Clown Springtrap is something I would see from BB and not Springtrap. And that's another thing. This skin had potential. I think the idea of combining Springtrap with the clown sounds interesting, since he is a serial killer and there are killer clowns out there, but how this concept was handled and how it was designed was really bad in my opinion. It's not the fact that he's a clown that bothers me, it's just his design is very unappealing to me. Maybe if he was designed to look like a killer clown, this would have been better, but of course, they didn't do that. Before 2021, this was my least favorite skin in the entire game, and while it's not anymore, I still think Clown Springtrap is the worst skin released in 2020, and is the very definition of cringe. Before we get into number 1, I want to go over some honorable or dishonorable mentions. These will be quick and will be explained in a pinned comment. Big Bad Foxy, Magician Mangle, and Sunken Toy Bonnie. So without further ado, let's get into my number 1 pick. And before I reveal it, I want to ask you this question. Do you remember when Chocolate Bonnie was released back in April 2020 and how beloved he was in the community after that? Yeah? Now let me ask you, how can you massacre such a good skin like Chocolate Bonnie? Well, that's quite simple. Imagine taking Chocolate Bonnie, stuffing him in a microwave, cook him alive for over 5 minutes, take him out, pour sprinkles on him, get your neighbor's dog to take a dump on his head, release him over Chocolate Freddy and Chocolate Chica, and you get, in my opinion, the worst skin released for this game. Melted Chocolate Bonnie, released with a Hot Chocolate event. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of this skin at all, and I think it's a huge low point for Illumix and skins in general. To start off, the concept of the skin. The idea that it's a skin of a skin not only sucks, but it also reeks of laziness and unoriginality. And no, Black Ice Frostbear does not count. As I said before, Freddy Frostbear is not a skin, he is a character. Therefore, Black Ice Frostbear counts as a skin for a character. Not even the looks of the skin could even save it. Despite the melting effects looking very realistic, the skin is just so unappealing to look at and literally looks like crap. There isn't even any kind of gimmick added to him to make him stand out. They could have added some dripping effects to simulate melting chocolate. Just something to make this utter shovelware somewhat better. Yes, this skin is more detailed than the original Chocolate Bonnie, but that doesn't automatically make him a good skin, or a skin good in general. Just because a skin is well detailed doesn't automatically result in a 10 out of 10. What makes a skin bad, makes a skin bad. And in Melted Chocolate Bonnie's case, it's just an ugly, uninspired shell of his former self. Illumix were well aware of how beloved the original Chocolate Bonnie became after his release, so they thought that imitating that magical moment would be enough to win back former fans' appreciation for the game. I'm sorry, but that's not how it works, Illumix, and that's not something I give credit for. You win fans' appreciation for a game by surprising them with something new, not repeat stuff. As Freddy Pop Collector himself said, nobody wants to see recycled content over and over again. Speaking of recycled content, his workshop animation, as I said earlier, is recycled from Jackal Bonnie's. Now, there is a reason why this happened. For those of you who don't know, Illumix's head animator left back in March 2021 for unknown reasons, so I can kind of cut them slack for that. What I won't cut them slack for is releasing this skin practically bugged. I am not even kidding. There was a bug where Melted Chocolate Bonnie would still be visible while charging at you when he was not supposed to. It just goes to show that this stuff isn't play tested before release. And that's another reason why Melted Chocolate Bonnie is the worst skin to me. He's a perfect example of Illumix not giving a crap, and a clear sign of their questionable decisions to run the game. And it also doesn't help this skin sucks as well. The other skins on this list are better than this by far, even Clown Sprainchap, and while he was a bad skin, at least he was made with effort, in which this skin wasn't. It's shovelware, and it's in my opinion, the worst skin for FNaF AR Special Delivery. Okay, those were my picks for the top 6 worst skins. Now it's time to check out the top 6 best skins of FNaF AR, because there's more good skins than bad skins. So let's not waste any more time and dive into my personal picks for the top 6 best. Number 6, Piranha Plush Trap, released for the Wicked Tides event. This is how you make a good skin for Plush Trap, making it unique and have a good design overall, not recycle stuff. This skin is the polar opposite of Frost Plush Trap in every way possible. His design is really interesting and creepy at the same time too. Those blue irises piercing into your soul, those jagged razor sharp teeth, and the concept of the skin really gives you the idea this is certainly one sea creature you do not want to encounter when you're in the water. The detail is phenomenal too, but again, that's a common trend in most skins. His environment, on the other hand, is just breathtaking. I mean, just look at the water effects. Just look at the coral and algae growing at the bottom. It's all very pretty and unsettling at the same time. Overall, this is a big step up from Frost Plush Trap. However, I can't put him any higher because he isn't that memorable to me, honestly, and his workshop animation is recycled from normal Plush Trap, but it's still a good skin in my eyes. As for you, Frost Plush Trap, go die and melt in a greenhouse. Number 5, Shamrock Freddy, released for the St. Patrick's Day event for 2020, and the one who started it all. Yes, this is an obvious one for this list, but what can I say for Shamrock Freddy? Well, he is basically just Freddy Green. I think the charm of this skin comes from his simplicity. Yes, his workshop animation is the same as regular Freddy, but this was long before skins would get their own workshop animations. I just like his design. I think the shade of green used looks really nice on him. I like the gold microphone and chain, and the Shamrock hat is a cute touch. He's simple, but charming, and he serves as a good reminder of how far the skins have come. The only reason why he's not higher on the list is because, even I have to admit, he is kind of plain compared to the skins released prior to him. But even then, this is still a very nostalgic skin to me, and that has its own special charm, and I think he holds up pretty decently. There's not much else I can say on this skin, so let's move on. Number 4, Toxic Spraintrap, released for the Wasteland event. I had a bit of a hard time deciding what the number 4 pick should be, but I decided to settle on Toxic Springtrap because I think he's the best skin for Springtrap. Not because he's the first skin for Springtrap, but because he has such an intricate design. The warts and growths all over his body are modeled so nicely and they move in their own independent way. It's gross, but it's so interesting at the same time too, especially with the sound effects, which are fascinating to listen to. I also like the purple color they chose for him. It makes sense, since we all know Springtrap does have purple guy inside of him. Toxic Springtrap overall is just a great skin. He's gross, but in a good way to me. I also feel like he's the only Springtrap skin that's above great, while the rest got worse upon release. Flaming Springtrap was okay, but outside of his fire effects, he's pretty bland on his own. Clown Springtrap was just pure cringe. And Curse was okay, but not memorable. Not to mention his name is beyond lazy, which is why Toxic Springtrap has joined my best list. Number 3. Chocolate Bonnie, released for the 2020 Easter event. Yeah, another obvious entry, but what can I say about Chocolate Bonnie? I love him. In fact, I think I would do everyone a disfavor by not including him on this list. The best way to describe this skin is iconic, because for one, it was the second skin to be released for the game, and second, I think he has a very appealing design. I love the shade of brown they used for him, I like the candy buttons, his bite marks still hold up well and are the things that make him stand out the most. Personally, I don't think this skin needs anything else to make it more than what it is. Sometimes, a skin doesn't need a huge amount of detail to make it stand out or make me appreciate it, which is another reason why I love this skin. There's just something about the design of how simplistic it is that not only brings back memories from the good old days of this game, but also how appealing it is overall. So here's this message I have for Lumix and their melted Chocolate Bonnie skin. As the saying goes, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. So coming in at number 3 is Chocolate Bonnie. Number 2, VR Toy Freddy, released for the Arcade Mayhem event. Probably one of, if not the best event that premiered in this game, because every skin that was released was good and had traits that made them unique on their own, including 8-Bit Baby, even though she doesn't count as a skin. But certainly the best skin to come out of this event is the Gamer Bear himself, VR Toy Freddy. This skin is fantastic. To start off, the concept of the skin just works. If they gave the VR headset to any animatronic, whether it be Freddy, Bonnie, or even BB, it would still look cool, but the fact that they gave it to Toy Freddy, a character who was confirmed at Ultimate Custom Night to be into video games, just makes this concept even better, and it proves that Lumix did do their homework. Now, yes, it is just Toy Freddy with a VR headset, and his workshop animation is recycled, but the one thing that makes his skin stand out is the texture. Just wow. This is one of the best things to come out of this game visually. The circuit boards running through his body are really fascinating to look at, and the glowing neon purple just looks beautiful. Another cool thing about this skin is that when encountering him, his skin alters. His VR headset disappears, revealing 2 glowing green irises with green fleshy circuitry around his eyes. His color goes from purple to red, and his neon outline would turn yellow, whereas before it was a very faint white. I think that was a cool outside the box thinking on their part. So, what else is there to say that I haven't already? VR Toy Freddy is an iconic skin of this game, and for a good reason. I can't think of a single thing wrong with it. Now, even though I love this skin, I don't think it's the best skin of the entire game. So that leads to the question, what can top such a great skin like VR Toy Freddy? Well, before I go into my number 1 pick, I want to once again go over some honorable mentions that will also be explained to my pinned comment, which include Rainmaster Foxy, Woodland Toy Freddy, Easter Bonnie, Jetpack BB, Flamethrower Endo, Boulder Toy Bonnie, and Katrina Toy Chica. So without further ado, let's reveal my number 1 pick for the best FNaF AR skin. Coming in at number 1 is Black Eyes Frostbear, released for the Winter Wonderland event. Honestly, I don't know where to start with this skin, other than this is how you do a redesign correctly. Freddy Fazbear was already a great thing about this game, not just because he was an original character that made its first appearance in a FNAF game, but because he was simple, but had his own charming uniqueness. Kinda like Shamrock Freddy, though Shamrock Freddy isn't as good as Frostbear. This skin takes everything that was great about Freddy Fazbear and completely turns it on its head. I love everything there is about this skin. I love the mutant icicles growing on him, I love the amount of detail that was put into him, and I especially love his staff. It really shows he's a threat. His workshop animation is nailed perfectly too, as well as his sound design. Much like with VR Toy Freddy, there is absolutely no complaint I have. I think this skin is perfect in every way, and I can't imagine any other skin for Freddy Fazbear. So with all that being said, and I know I didn't have much to say for this entry, but the thing is, when you don't have much to complain about, you don't really have much else to say. So anyway, Black Eyes Fazbear is, in my opinion, the best skin in FNaF AR Special Delivery. And with all that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share this with your friends. And if you don't want to miss out on future uploads, just click the notification bell next to the subscription button, and that way, you won't miss out on any future uploads. This is AndrewJohn100's signing off, and stay tuned for the next episode of Freddy Fazbear Friends, which will come out pretty soon. Bye-bye.